Hello and welcome. It's just me today, Kieran, FPL Discomfort, mainly because, well, look, Champions League is back tomorrow, and it's a format I particularly enjoy. I thought I'd go live because I'm doing a bit of I guess it's a free hit for match day one for me, where I tend to just look at the fixtures, think it's good to get off to a good start. I've had a couple of years of decent-ish ranked, one of them in the top 100 in the last few years, and mainly just by applying the strategy of going big, going brave, going bold, and looking at players that perhaps we're not looking at enough of. So, look, the goal of this not going to be on here for too long. Don't imagine there'll be too many people in the chat or jumping in live during this either. But just thought I would talk through some of my thoughts so I can go back to it, see what came to fruition, so on and so forth. So look, I'm going to assume anyone that's watching this is already playing UCL Fantasy. There's plenty of videos out there in terms of who to pick, etc. What we're just going to do today actually is I'm probably just going to share my screen and go through different options on different match days and start building it out and looking at the match days game by game. So obviously for tomorrow, we kick off with I don't even know if this is all the right fixtures, actually. Let me have a quick look through here. I made a couple of images quickly beforehand to try and get everything going, but I can already tell that there's a game missing from this, or at least not in the order that it should be. And the order is really important in it. Yeah, PSV versus Union Saint-Gilloise, or USG, is also an early kickoff. So what I like to do is just start off by looking at what the odds are for each of those teams, particularly ones that I don't know too much about. If we were to look at it for PSV v USG, it looks like a pretty good close matchup. PSV at 4-5 and USG at 10-3. So yes, they are expected to win on the base of this PSV, but not massive favourites. And it's looking like both teams to score at 4-7 as well is just as likely, if not more likely. So it's one of those games where you're going to struggle if you're looking for your clean sheets. Probably not one that's going to jump out early on as something to go for. And the reason why these games are quite useful is because we are going to know who is starting. We'll get the team sheets before deadline for the first two kickoffs. So instead, it would be a case of looking at Athletic versus Arsenal. And I think for this one, again, look, Arsenal are favourites, not heavy favourites. They're 17-20. So they're expected to win. Both teams to score about even money either way. So a bit more likely for a clean sheet. And I think in reality, if we look at the two teams' fixtures, Athletic Club have lost 1-0 most recently. They beat Betis 2-1. They won against Rayo Vallecano 1-0. And they won 3-2 against Sevilla. So they're not doing too badly. Again, not really sort of any major players jumping out, but there is always upside with picking a defender or a wing back for these opening fixtures, potentially looking at captaining them. I think it's worth just, to be honest with you, skipping ahead and just looking at the games in match day one that do stand out. And I think it's the obvious ones, right? Real Madrid playing at home, pretty decent. And I tend to like to see if I can split my players up on each match day. So it is a case of just looking through these fixtures and working out which of them you like players of if you're just going for the punch on match day one. And it is kind of a tough one. You probably want, a couple of Real Madrid players in there, the obvious ones. So start building out the team and look, I think it just makes sense when you're starting off to just see what your money can get you. So let's see if we can just share the screen instead now. Here we are. Perfect. So what we can do from here, look, let's just go nice and obvious to start with and chuck Mbappe into this team. I'm just going to fill it out with some of the obvious ones just to start with, to be honest with you, where it just makes sense to get some of the strongest players in there from the big teams, particularly when we know they've got a good match day. Now, it's also one of those points now where I will be looking at one of their defenders just to see who we can get in, because Marseille aren't fantastic. Real Madrid are pretty decent defensively. So, might as well have a look and look in particular at ball recoveries. So this is something that you can get from I've realised in order to do it, I'm gonna have to do it one by one. Cool. Okay. So yeah, can have a look on FB Ref and go down to miscellaneous stats, then just order it by recovery. And we've got Alvaro Carreras, who's been playing every game so far as a defender with 19, followed by Militao, and then Huijsen. So between the three of them, might as well then just see if any of them are doing well in terms of goal shot creating action and goals and assists so far this season. And again, look, people might know this for some of the games, but probably not for a lot of them. So goal-wise, Carreras is nothing up there. Not too many goal scorers so far. And in terms of defenders having shots, Huijsen has had the most, then Militao, then Carvajal, then Rodrigo. So look, Huijsen and Militao looking a little bit better. Again, Huijsen has an assist so far. Carreras doesn't. So look, probably going to be between the two of them. Militao seemed to be doing pretty decent in terms of the ball recoveries. Not too sure if he's been playing every game, though. Let's have a quick look. He's played 3 of the games so far. Huijsen's played 3.3. Carreras has played 4. Yeah, it's probably worth the risk there. So, yeah, we'll chuck him into the team as well. So, what we'll then do, I'll just sort of go back to sharing the screen here. So we've got them in. In terms of other fixtures, which ones do we like from this? PSG 3 Atlanta. Again, you probably want to go for a PSG defender on this one. So again, I'm going to be doing the same process just to scroll through and have a look at the defenders. Obviously, we know Hakimi is the most attacking, but it's always nice just to see if he is any decent for those ball recoveries as well. And it is Beraldo, and then Nuno Mendes and Hakimi have the same, or give or take. So might as well chuck Hakimi into the team as well. And again, we're just sort of bulking it out with the obvious players to start with. The ones where we know they've got decent fixtures, should dominate the games. And then I'm just going to click through a few of the other games here to see what we have. Actually, I'm not seeing all the pictures on this, which isn't great. It's not quite gone according to plan on that side of things. Because yeah, we've also got Benfica v Karabag on match day 1. And look, I think that is a massive one in terms of teams that are expected to win and are heavy favourites. Benfica are that. They are 1-5 to win. They're one of the heaviest favourites, one of the biggest one-sided matches in the game. So look, again, this is a really interesting one because Benfica have a few different options. And one player who's not started too well, but has done well throughout his time in UCL is there we are, because we've only got that selected. There we are, perfect. Is Pavlidis. So look, he's just a no-brainer for me in terms of for the fixtures against Karabag. It's just looking really good for them. It then gets interesting because this is where ball recoveries really come into it for me. And someone that's just been dominant in it for season after season has been Otamendi. He's someone that I just really like in terms of he's going to secure a lot of ball recovery points for you, particularly in some of the easier fixtures. Interestingly, Samuel Dahl has had a few more than him so far this season and played less games. So Dahl is also an option. And again, if you want to play it safe, then you could do a combination of the two of them. And again, you're just kind of doubling up on your clean sheets early on and strong ball recovery options. Going to take it off this and just do it against opponents. And that's us getting our free Benfica in as well. So again, pretty strong position there. We also have Tottenham versus Villarreal. I don't think this is an easier game as people think. Juve versus Dortmund, again, sort of similar things. So then going on to match day 2 and looking through some of those fixtures, we have got Olympiacos, Paphos, Slavia, Bodo Glimt, PSG versus Atlanta. So we'd already said the PSG one. So, yep, that's where the fixtures were clearly wrong. Ajax versus Inter. Now, Ajax haven't been that great so far. And I'm not planning to have that many Inter in my team for the start of this, which is a little bit weird when they've got it. But it is worthwhile just to start with, where I want to see if I can have somewhere into my team. Again, I'm not loving any of the fixtures on the second day. It's actually the third day, and I'm going to skip ahead to the third day to just kind of add a few players into it. Because on the third day, we have got Sporting versus Kairat Almaty, which, again, just a fantastic fixture. So, again, just going to bulk it out with the key players from some of these teams. And from Sporting, that is going to be starting off with their new striker. And no, you're not imagining things. It is a different person with the same name. It's Luis Suarez. Absolute bargain in the game at 5 mil. Then, this is where it gets interesting because they've got a couple of players who are good from an attacking perspective. And that is... Sorry, just trying to load up all of the stats on this. The options in terms of this are, here we are, Pedro Goncalves and Francisco Trincao. Now, Goncalves has 4 goals, 3 assists, and Trincao has 3 goals, 1 assist. So for me, it's actually just going straight for Goncalves. We'll see where he is in here. Here we are, perfect. So, yeah, getting him in as well. And then this is where it comes down to it. Like, you could go for a defender and hope for those clean sheet points or goals and assists. And if you're going for that, what's Quenda listed as? Because he plays both, interestingly. They have him as a defender, which is interesting. Very interesting. So he's had 3 assists so far this season. I think he might be worth it. Let's just have a look at his ball recoveries. I don't think he's going to be great on ball recoveries, but it might be one of those anomalies where he's worth doing it. So ball recoveries, Ignacio just leads the way. He's got 26 through 5 games. Quenda has 14 through 2.4. So there's a lot more there for Ignacio. In terms of attacking threat of Ignacio, though, he is just going to be a centre-back, right? So I don't think he's going to have had too much. Also not too little. He's not too far behind a lot of the other players. He takes a few dead balls. So he's actually taken 11 free kicks so far this season, which I find quite interesting. Might have to go for him, you know? Four shots, 2 shots on target, no goals. But he does seem to be good for that ball recovery. 3 assists. So, look, I think he's just a silly price there. Quender's got the 3 assists, and Inacio has 2. So, yeah, look, I think that's a crazy price. And look, we've already got our back 5 sorted out here, and they're playing Marseille, Atlanta, Karabag, and we're in a pretty strong position. So again, we're really bulking up with players that I don't think many people have in here. After that is when it then just becomes a bit more of like, who are some of these top ball recovery players in the world, and or sort of in the games that have sort of decent-ish matchups. Midfielders is a bit of the upside, and again, let's just have a look at how much we've got left in our budget. 31 million for another goalkeeper and 3 mids. So we've got space for PSG midfielders in here, obviously now, which was another strong fixture when we were looking at it. And again, Vitinha's been pretty strong for them. Let's just click back and have a look through how they've been doing on goals and assists. Yeah, Vitinha's leading the way. Actually got 1 goal, 2 assists through 4 games. So, yeah, might as well chuck Vitinha into our team. It's becoming pretty simple now. We've then got the option for a few people. You know, they might want some Liverpool. I'm not particularly fond of it. This is where I start going for the 50-50 matchups and looking for players that could be quite exciting, quite decent budget. And this is where I started to look at players. In fact, yeah, I think, look, we can add in goal here. If we're just thinking about people that are relatively decent, we might as well throw in Vicario, home fixture against Villarreal. Villarreal aren't amazing. Spurs aren't terrible. So, yeah, there we are. And then, yeah, the ones that I started to find interesting are fixtures for Galatasaray. Again, look, we've got 19 million here. So, actually, if people wanted to, could literally get Rafinha's probably good against that. And we could also throw in Yamal's injured. But again, we could afford him. Couldn't we? Be $500,000 short. But Florian Wirtz for Liverpool against Atletico Madrid. And there is something to be said that, you know, him playing in the Champions League might open him up a little bit. Hard to tell. Atletico Madrid haven't been great. I imagine Salah's going to be out with the price point. Yep, 10.5. I've seen Elise in a few drafts against Chelsea. He's a good option. But again, we're kind of like attacking match day 1. And some of the players, let's have a quick look. So I'm trying to find if I've got it anywhere. Because, yeah, look, a couple of players that I've been looking at are Can Uzun. And again, these are just sort of more of your budget options. But playing for Frankfurt have been pretty solid so far. He's got a goal in each of his last 3 games and assist before that. And you can see Frankfurt, even in a game they struggled in, he still got the goal. Another one that I like the look of is Chiquinho. So Chiquinho is currently playing over at Olympiacos. They don't have his data here, but I can tell you that. Because that is one that I have been looking at for a while. Chiquinho in his last matches, assist in the last one, goal and assist in the one before that. Then he blanked, then he scored in the friendlies. But he's just consistent for them. Last season, he got 8 goals, 4 assists in 28 games. In terms of this match, it is an interesting one because Olympiacos are slight favourites against Paphos. They are 21-50. So, yeah, actually pretty decent ones. That's why I like Chiquinho. In terms of if there's any other players in there so far this season, it's been Chiquinho who's leading it for goals and assists. If we were to look at last season's, then Carby, who's their striker, and then Gelson Martins. And Martins has been injured and just sort of not really informed to start off the season so far. So not really one for me. Rodney was an option as a defender, and then it was Chiquinho, who got 12 last season. So, yeah, I personally like Chiquinho, and it leaves you sort of 4 million in the bank, which, again, this is just to kind of really attack the first fixtures, but just ones that I think are are pretty interesting. I think that's it, really. I think there are going to be other options. Oh, here we are. Rafa, I can see you're in the chat here. Am I? Yeah, look, I'm personally planning to do it. I think there are no standout fixtures really in match day one in terms of great players that you want to hold long term. I think you can actually get ahead by attacking the points quite early if you do go for it. And one thing I always want to double check here is how many players we have for each day. So on the 16th, we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and a keeper. So 7, quite a few. 17th, we have got 1, 2, 3, and a keeper. And it leaves us on the 18th with 1, 2, 3, 4. So 7-4-4 split, probably not that even. If I was not wildcarding, then I'll try and have a bit more of an even split, like as much as you possibly can. 7-6-5 type of thing, whatever it is, 6-5-4. Got it, yeah, 6-5-4. But 7-4-4 is not the end of the day, because end of the world, because you can really attack it. And again, I just don't think there's any awful fixtures in this one. It's a bit different to what my actual team is. To kind of talk through, I've gone for a bit more rogue players thrown in there. So I've got both Uzun and Chiquina instead of having Vitinha in there, instead of having Rafinha in there, which is, yeah, a bit of a pump. But again, I think Newcastle away is a hard fixture. So I have this thrown in. And I also don't have the double up in the defence here. I just have Otamendi. And I've got Calafiori and Dumfries here, which, again, look, if you wanted to get Dumfries in instead of Militao, you could. You've got all the money in the world here to get anyone you want. And does it give us captains for each day? So on the 16th, 3 choices, right? Mbappe's there as a safe option, and Vinny. I kind of punt on the defender on these ones. So I might even go with an Otamendi or a Dahl and really just go for it. On the 17th, you got Vitinha or Hakimi or Chiquinho if you really want to punt. And then on the 18th, we've got probably the highest ceiling ones in there in the Sporting trio. Again, like Sporting are the heaviest favourites through this all. So I think that's it really. I think for me, it is about just attacking match day one. I think this is a pretty decent team thrown together in here. I think Militao has been... Real Madrid have been conceding, kind of. So. I wonder how the rest of their defenders are doing, actually. Let's have a quick look again. So we were saying Huijsen. Red card, yellow card, and an assist. Eesh. Did not know he just got sent off. Did not know that at all. Karius has been doing nothing recently. Don't know how visible that is actually through all of this now that I've been doing it. And you look again. There's so many options here. That's why I think this game's funny, right? People look at the 8.5 mil in the bank, and you look at some of these strikers, and you could literally get anyone in. Salah can be thrown into here with ease. Rafinha can be thrown in with ease. Like, if you really want those players, go for it. It's just a question of, do you really want those players? Are the odds for them to win as strong as perhaps other teams? Arguably not. So it then comes down into that. I think Dahl is an interesting one actually in here. 0% owned, which I always like a little cheeky 0% thrown in there compared to Otamendi. Militao at 1%, Inacio at 2%, Uzan at 0%, Chiquina at 0%, Suarez at 3%, and then obviously big boys in Pavlidis at 10, Mbappe at 61, Coutinho at 34, Vinicius at only 14. Militao at 1 is crazy. Gonçalves at 3 is crazy. I can understand why not many have Sommer. You don't need to pay 6 mil for a goalkeeper, but might as well. Not bad option. No, calm. It's every day. Every round of fixtures, you're going to have 3 captain choices. So if you are setting it up for longer than match day 1, then that's when you probably want to get like, I don't like a 5-5 split, 5-5-5 split across there. You know, I think you I've always favoured going heavier on match day 1, particularly at the start. And I've always like the one thing this team is missing is a wing back from the early kickoff. Because I used to just love that. Like, you know, you're guaranteed having a player in there. And with the way that Arsenal have been playing recently, I think it's very hard to score against them. And I think, therefore, if Calafiori is starting, here he is, then he would be of interest to me. Again, he's just sort of been drifting in and out. So he could be a really decent option. I don't know. I do not know. Could be him, could be Timber. It's weird. Like, 15% puts me off going for him because I'm so against sort of sharing with other people. Timber's at 13%. So again, people have that Arsenal defence. Are you playing Coleman? Like, what's your team looking like so far? Interestingly, I do have someone in my team at the moment that I'll show you. It's got no right to be in the team looking at it. And you'll see when I'm going all the way down here. Let's take Real Madrid off. So it's another 0%er. Fede Layson. Now, reason being is if I was going to go for anyone from Royal Union SG from a defensive standpoint, again, I'd just be looking to start off with Defcon. It's not even Defcon, is it? It's ball recoveries here. And Layson has 37 in 7 games, which is pretty high. In terms of other parts of him, goals and assists, has he done anything? He's got 1 goal, 1 assist as well so far. Interestingly, Hussein Niang's played slightly less minutes than him and isn't too far off on ball recoveries but is not a defender. Which is weird because he is a defender. 5 mil midfield. Well, that rules him out. But yeah, I think there's something to get. Like, I also, is there anyone from Slavia Prague that's worth looking at? Again, I don't think Bodo Glimt are a bad team. I think they're worse away from home than they are at home. So, you know, I wouldn't be against someone going for a punt on a Slavia Prague player for this game. If you were to do it, then let's just have a quick look. Let's take Union Saint-Gilloise off. Let's add them all in. So Provod is a midfielder. I'll be honest, that would tempt me a bit because Provod's been playing quite attacking for them. He's got 2 goals, 4 assists in 7 games. What's cool to say is the forward at 6 mil. So yeah, look, Provod I quite like. Provod I quite like as a punt at home against Bodo for an early kickoff. Anyone else from them? What's Jan Ball listed as? Jan Ball. Jan Ball. Doubtful. You can see why he was tempting. It looks like he is injured, unfortunately. Then, is there any tasty ball recovery monsters in their team? I don't even know if we'll get those datas actually for them, unfortunately. No. I guess just interested what Tudera is. Tudera is a midfielder. Thomas Holles is another defender option. Decent-ish. Kane, Mbappe and Lewandowski. Yeah. Yeah, they're all fine, aren't they? But I think Bayern have been solid, and Kane just is one that can punish so much. Home against Chelsea. Chelsea haven't been fantastic. He's fine, isn't he? Lever makes sense. Decent on the weekend. And I imagine, Carl, when you sort of longer term aspect here, so planning for the long term, getting these players in, and then just with a couple of punts that you can transfer out during. And anyone else, feel free, if you are watching this live, feel free to fire questions. Like I said, I'm kind of done with playing around with what I like as a squad. Probably so tempting. And this is what I mean. Like, there's certain teams that I just like punting on in certain games. And Lucas Provod. Mayhe. Again, like, you don't really want to be taking risks on the matchday 1-1. This is built so that it can be transferred out. On the wild card. Yeah, Provod's been interesting. Has Provod done it against any of the harder teams, though? Not really. How's Bodo Glimt been doing away from home? They score so many goals. So many goals. They lost 2-1 away to Sturm Graz when they were winning 5-0 in the qualifiers. Norwegians right in the middle of their season as well. They've been going since July. So yeah, they are. Well, they've been going from before then, actually. What might be interesting is to look at how Bodo Glimt began. So they lost to Kaverna Zvezda last season in the playoff rounds, 2-0 away. Europa League, they won 3-2 at home. They drew 0-0 against USG. They won 2-1 away against Braga. Lost 2-1 against Karabag. Lost 3-2 away against Man U. Maybe we need to be looking at Bodo Glimt. Are there any other good attackers? Yeah, there are actually plenty of good attackers there. A lot of people are going for Arsnes, who is a midfielder, and he makes a lot of sense. Problem is, no one's really done well. They haven't started that well. So Schneiderlup is another good option for them. Let's have a quick look. Schneiderlap. Schneiderlap. So, Schneiderlap's a striker. He's a no-go. He's been doing better than Pavlidis. Or the same, actually. He's got a goal and an assist, but it's so easy. It's so early into the start of their season. I think the thing for me is Pavlidis has only scored 2 goals, but his XG is 3.8. And he's on penalties. And he takes the most shots out of anyone. But yes, there are other options. Just none of them are fantastic. So I was saying Arshness, who is hit. Sudakov's just joined them. He's not really been playing for them so far, which is a concern. He's had 19 minutes so far this season. Again, he's only just signed for them, so he might be an option further down the line. But it's just a hard one. To be honest with you, where's Arshness? How much is he? Midfielder at 5 mil. Really good enabler. 1 goal so far, but again, you can see Benfica haven't been doing anything, really. Tillman at Leverkusen. I think they're still a good option, right? I think like Leverkusen are being written off and they just won against Frankfurt. I think Copenhagen are very difficult as a team to play against. I think that's just one thing to take into consideration. But he's good, right? Like, as in, if you think that they're going to win that game, he's a strong option. Grimaldo's still bossing it for them, interestingly. Super expensive, but just look at this. Four goals in 3.5 games. That's just crazy. I don't think he's any good at ball recoveries, though, is he? Not that it matters, but just like cherry on the cake. 8 in 3 games. They'd pick you up an extra point. I like Tillman, but I'm liking Grimaldo a little bit more now, Colm. Liking Grimaldo a little bit more. Probably more than Eder Militao. I've only just realised that he's one of 2 away players. The entire starting 11 was all playing at home on that initial draft. So what happened in the Juve game? How bad was Sommer? Because that'd be mad to drop him. Colm, you made me get Grimaldo into my team. What day's Grimaldo playing on? Because my head is in the way. 18th. I had Dest in my team. Why did I have Dest in my team? I really like Pepe, by the way. Really like Pepe. Be quicker, just do this now, wouldn't it? I feel sorry for anyone watching this back. I doubt anyone will. assist, goal, goal. Nah, I like Ronaldo more. So let's add Ronaldo into my actual team. What summer? Yeah, fair enough. Yeah, no, I will definitely consider someone else there. I have a little play around on the clean sheets. Again, like I said, very little is done in here. That's a question, isn't it, Rich? Both are decent. Mbappe to protect rank. Pavlidis, in theory, will have the lowest goal scoring odds. I think, let's see if we can get onto Tom Hadley's page. Because he's got some awesome images. So that's just for teams predicted to score the most amount of goals. I'll get to that in a second. I just want to get the players, because again, he's done some amazing stuff. Go follow FPL_Tom Hadley. Get this written on there. Good at the bottom. And then might be scrolling for a mile here. Not ideal. All the set piece takers as well. They're both on penalties, right? So take your choice between them. Actually, let's have a look at that. Let's save this one and have a look at any of the players that we've picked. Or set piece takers, because that'll always be fun. Yeah, I don't know if we'll be able to find anything in terms of UCL goal scorers. You can see the top goal scorer odds. I can't see the odds to score anytime though, unfortunately. But look, I think most people, I think the sensible thing to do would be to go for Mbappe. It all depends on who you've got as your backup options, to be honest with you, Rich. Like, who do you have for the next couple of days? Have a look at those players, see if any of them are going to cover if you get it wrong, because that's what kind of leads me to punt quite often. Just knowing that I've got like relatively safe options for the second and third day, that would just make me want to punt on someone and go for the high ceiling on day one. That's why quite often I will go for a defender, one that I know is starting, and it's quite often in the early match day. Probably not this week though. I think having two Benfica defenders is probably enough before they then go and let in an inevitable goal somehow against Karabag. Something like that was bound to happen. Omara, you can't send it here. You can type it out if you want. You can type it out and then I can kind of draft your team on here. That's no issue, so that everyone can see it. So if you want to type it out, I will then be able to put it on there. You can also follow us on Twitter at _the double pivot, and you can send it via DM on there. And I can then also load it up as an image. So your choice on which of those you want to do, mate. But Colm, I see your point, but there's no issue with money with this team. We've still got 7.5 mil in the bank. So, you know, and I'm not worried about supporting keeper being injured when they're playing up against like Kairat Almaty. You know, Nasir is still fine. Looking at clean sheet odds. So who are we looking at? Arsenal. So maybe just chuck Raya in, but then that's 216, so that doesn't work. Benfica 60%. Frankfurt, I don't believe that 52%. Liverpool 40, or what we've been seeing in the Premier League, not so much. Sporting 64. Juve 36, don't trust that. City at 40 against Napoli. Donnarumma. But will they even play Donnarumma, or will it be rotation? Liverpool v Atleti. Atleti have been struggling to score. But Julian Alvarez returning to Anfield, wouldn't put it past him. And the problem is, like, I need that Tottenham one to work out, which I just don't think it does. That's a 36. So, like, changing this to Raya so that I get some of that Arsenal clean sheet. Doesn't change much because it's a goalkeeper for the final 2 days. And it is suggesting that, like, just throwing in PSG's new fella. Well, not new fella, but only fella now. Chevalier. Not a bad option. Not a bad option. Not a great option. But Atlanta are pretty bad now. Yeah, I can do, Cole. I can make a league. In fact, why don't I do it now whilst we're on here? Where's my phone gone? Dropped it down. Look, I'll stay live for a little bit longer. Omar, if you just want to drop your team in, and then I probably will go. How's Dumfries been doing to start the season? I swear he's been doing well. There's a reason I've got him in my team. Besides the fact that he's very, very, very good. I'm not doing well, yeah. I think I'll be taking him out and putting Hakimi in. Maybe Dog to start with. We'll leave Calafiori in place of him to start with. Take these two out. Chucking Chevalier and Raya. And it's a lot of money on goalkeepers, but it is what it is. Cool. Let's make a league, Com. Do we already have one? No, so let's create one. Cool, it has been created. There you are, Com. And look, we'll wait for Omar to type his team out and just have a look at what that looks like to kind of give a different option. I will be interested actually, Colm, if I played around to put in what you were saying. So you had all the big dogs, didn't you? You had Harry Kane. You had Lewandowski. Still got $500,000 in the bank here. You then wanted Tillman. Who else you want, Colm? Interested to see who else you fancy in your team. 2 keepers. You got 2 keepers sorted. Who are your keepers? Probably saving money there. You could drop at least to a way too expensive. Yeah, you don't need both of them. How's Hakimi been doing again? So. It's just Hakimi, isn't it? It's just such a strong option. I think Omar is gone because we're down to 1 viewer. I'll have a quick check on my X messages just in case he has sent it there. Nope, I do not see it there. So I think I am going to just end it here. Like I said, Colm, this is what I was playing around with for your potential team. And then obviously just shave $1 million off, probably got Mendy, Hakimi, whatever. But that's definitely strong. Or Elise Gula Barcola. Elise Gula. Barcola. Still make a really strong team with that, can't you? You're saying your defenders and keepers are all 4.5, but like, got some strong options here already. Like if I just did this, like threw in, like if you were going long term, I'd just throw in Copenhagen's goalkeeper. Like he is just going to be so silly good. I know you're playing against Tillman, but just he's solid. And those fixtures aren't too bad for someone just to rotate. I think he is the one that's starting for them. FC Copenhagen. Goalkeeping. Oh, it's Katarski. Of course it is. Do you know what? Katarski's not a bad option as a second keeper. So yeah, I know you're saying that your defence and goalies are all 4.5, Colm, but I think you can have pretty strong players in there overall. Keeping Goncalves in for you because just ridiculously good. Again, like you can afford Grimaldo and Hakimi in your team here, Colm, and Otamendi, and have $1 million in the bank to play with. And that is all your players, like, and your defence and keepers are even higher. Right, let's throw together. Can I put together a team with him in goal? It's really hard to. It's going to be really hard to type in Greenwood's name, to be honest with you. But hey, each to their own. And yeah, Colm, obviously play around and put in plays you want. Like the one thing I say about Benfica is their fixtures turn instantly. So if you are playing the longer fixture, maybe you don't want the double defence. But on the flip side, Hakimi, also not good. Inacio, relatively fine for the first three. Grimaldo, relatively fine for the first two. To be honest, that's why I kind of like attacking this fixtures instead of worrying about the other games. Yeah, if you can hear my cat, then he's very vocal. Very, very vocal. Right, who else are we throwing in here? Rafinha, Vinicius, Vitinha. I think one thing that I'm seeing already with your team here, Owamara, is it's the top 3 point scorers from last season, right? Or 3 of them. So there's a reason why they got the most points last season. Nothing wrong with owning them. You got Hakimi, Gatti, and Huijsen with Otamendi. You got Elise. So again, another pretty decent point scorer from last season and one that started this season off well. Not a bad option ever. Van Aken, decent pick him from Club Brugge. I do like him. Up against Monaco, so not a bad fixture. And then your final goalies, the defenders are Huijsen and Gatti. Gatti, I get why people have Gatti, but I just don't rate the Juve defence. Huijsen, again, like a logical one. I personally prefer Militao. How much more is Militao? It's 500,000 more. Yeah, I can see why you go with Huijsen. I just personally prefer Militao. And your goalies are Sommer and Trubin. And again, like, you were the one who said that he might be injured, so you can scale that down almost instantly if you wanted to. You got $1.5 million in the bank. First things first, what's your dates looking like? 16th, you got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So over half your players are playing on game 1. If they all do well, then you're going to struggle to put people on. But again, not the end of the world. And you got 1, 2, 3, 4. And then you're leaving yourself with Rafinha as a captain there. I guess Elise is your captain on day 2. Probably this is a fine cap for day 1. Romara, just in terms of, easiest fixture. Again, it's like what your plan is longer term here, because you've got Huijsen in, so maybe you've got him in for ball recoveries, but you've got Greenwood playing against him. Juve, decent enough fixtures. Rafinha, I just think those are horrible 2 fixtures to kick off, personally. Just for me, like, I get loads of people have him. There's a reason he's 45% owned, but I think a lot of people have just clicked on, let's have a look at what he did in terms of the points last year. And he did well, but again, he played a lot of minutes. They got very far into it. Again, solid option. It's just, I think he's a good option for when they've got Olympiacos, Bruges, Copenhagen, Slavia Prague type of ones. I think there's higher ceilings than this one. Same with Elise, I think. Bayern are good. I think Chelsea are relatively solid. Cat is meowing like crazy, so we'll have to go give him food. Van Aken is, like I said, I like the Van Aken shout. I like the Van Aken shout a lot. I wonder where you thought of him, particularly when you said sort of, not seeing much content. So obviously you do pay a fair amount of attention to what's going on in that league. And he's got 2 goals so far this season. He's just a solid overall option. Best replacement for Greenwood. What have we got? We've got like 8.5 mil. Honestly, I would just be tempted to go with Suarez. He's cheaper. And he's playing against Kaima Almaty. And he's also playing on the final day. If you don't know much about him, he, so far this season, he has 5 matches, 3 goals, 2 assists. He's playing against, pretty awful team In 5 games, 3 goals, 2 assists. Not bad at all. So yeah, I'd probably go Luis Suarez. If you wanted to go with someone maybe slightly bigger name, like one person that I do think is decent, just in any game, is Guirassy. Guirassy's just a beast, and his form so far, like, this is domestic form, and it's just stupid. It just depends on how you feel about Juve as the opening game. But he then has like pretty good fixtures. Man City away is going to be an open-ended game. Villarreal is a good game. Athletic Club's a pretty good game. Copenhagen, again, I think they're strong defensively, but like, this guy's a beast. Absolute beast. So if you wanted a more premium one, I'd say Guirassy. If you wanted my person I think does pretty well, then yeah, it would probably be Suarez. But just Guirassy's so good. So good. Stupid form at the moment. Absolute beast of a player. All right, cool. I will go because I've been doing this for an hour. Honestly, we're just going to do it for 20 minutes, but do appreciate you jumping on, Coleman, Omara. Good to connect with you both. Good luck for tomorrow. Lots of plenty. Good English, Kieran. Plenty of options to go with, and I think the key thing is like just be flexible in your strategy. Just go with the players that you like. Remember that you can sub players off, so do take more punts on the first day than on the third day. Third day is probably not the day for punts, but the first day is. Sorry, I just keep going back to Guirassy and thinking, why don't I have him in my team? He's good. Yeah, no, they definitely could. Fair enough. All right, cool. Well, again, multiple different ways that you can do it. Good to connect with you as well, Sparta. Cheers for jumping in, and good luck to everyone. Remember, the deadline is tomorrow. What time is it? Does it even say on here? I'm not logged in, so probably not. I'll have a look at my phone. It's always good, isn't it? Someone's doing a UCL chat and goes, when's the deadline? 5:45, so it's that first kickoff, like normal. So we will know the teams. If you did want to go for an Arsenal player, then that is an option. But just good luck. And then my Twitter handle is actually... Oh, it's not saying it in my name, is it? There we are. There is an underscore in there, though, that it's not hiding. So thank you for asking. There we are. And then follow us as well on Twitter. So not just me, but follow mine and Shane's account. Shane does lots of running videos. But yeah, no, thanks a lot to everyone for jumping in live. Anyone who's watching it back, you're mental, but putting a few of the players that you like for this game week or match day or whatever we want to call it. I don't want to see the obvious like 50%ers. Going back to my team, I think there are about 5 or 6 0 or 1%ers in there. Makes it a little bit more fun. So good luck to everyone, and I hope you have a good rest of your week. Thanks a lot for joining.